stroke swimmer, won gold medal in 1992. I was with him a couple of months ago up in Northwest Territories, and in his workshop he talked about, you got to do the laps, you got to put in the time. So thanks for reminding us about that, and then this idea of coming back, searching, being curious about things and ways you can bring them back to your reality. And maybe there's a few things here today that you're going to learn that you can apply differently in your backyard. That's why.
Okay, well, I thought I would start with something a little bit unrelated. I'm just, for those of you who think that nothing ever changes, to hear that Equine Canada wants to push back a bunch of horse shows onto the PSOs when not very many years ago we were at each other's throats fighting over the shows, shows you that things do change. There you go. So my comments about competitive excellence are kind of two streams. One builds upon what Laura was saying about what happens after you get off the podium. What kind of people are we creating through our sports system? What kind of values are we sort of encouraging in our participants? And so for competitive excellence to really be a well-rounded concept, we need to think about what state are we keeping our athletes in, both equine and human, after the sport is finished and the podium is put away. So clean sport, fair sport, value-driven sport, that's part of the competitive excellence experience. The other way I looked at this comes a little bit from where I am, which is running a riding school and trying to encourage people to take up riding so that we can feed the horses and pay the bills and these sorts of things. And if we don't encourage a really broad participation on the part of young Canadians, our competitive excellence relies on a large pool of people to choose from, because we need a big pool in order to find those who bring to the sport all of those things they need to be podium athletes. And that's a tall order. And very many talented people may never get on a horse. We'll never find them because they never started riding. So for me, competitive excellence starts by getting more bums in the saddle. I also feel that we need all of the other elements to make sure that those riders who do demonstrate excellence are encouraged on the right pathways. And I've been speaking at the table earlier about some of the new sort of thoughts about encouraging good riding in dressage competitions, and the new equitation sort of focus that had and how that was a valuable thing. And also the support of a broader context of professionals, making sure that riders are getting mental training, a little self-serving there, but also are getting good physiotherapy, are getting good concussion care, just in case they happen to hit their heads, and so on. And hearing Charlotte speak about the type of support system that she has in place for herself and her horses and for their athletic endeavors, we need to think about all of the things that go into making an athlete.
Okay, fantastic. So can you feel your comments around an integrated experience that meets the highest levels of quality, which will attract and retain your current people, and then this allowing for the continuum. So once you finish maybe your what we might call excellence, that there's a place for you to land. So thank you for all of that. You spoke about that from a holistic point of view, which is really refreshing. So thank you. Yeah, toi la parole, monsieur. Toi la dernière. Last but not least.
I did not do my homework, I can tell you that. Competitive excellence, it is an interesting one, and I think I've been, probably like everybody up here and a lot of people in this room, my life has just been impacted by other people, and you learn things as you go. And I had some amazing coaches over the years, and I've worked for some really cool people. I give you the exact quote, but I actually can't remember it. But Mr. Sutherland had a quote on excellence, and I'm going to paraphrase here, but it was going above and beyond and doing more than anyone ever expected. And there are a few more lines in there, but that in essence, I mean, certainly was his credo, and it was certainly what motivated everyone at Spruce Meadows. But I think it's also easy to get behind as a concept that you always keep doing more. And when I started riding in Spruce Meadows, and I actually met the guy a few years before, but it was a little German guy that some people in this room would know quite well, but unfortunately he's not with us anymore. But we would often, at the end of a day of competition, sit in the office and in the Hofbrauhaus and crack a cold one. Didn't matter whether it was cold or not, we still had a beer, because that was competitive excellence too. And his concept, and we've talked about it quite often, but his mindset was, and he said to me this several times, was, John, when you go to an event, are you going to come across riders who are better than you? Which I thought was a little harsh personally, because I thought I was doing okay, but yeah, of course, you're always going to come across riders who are better than you. Are you going to come across riders who have better horses than you? Well, I liked my horse, but clearly, yeah, there were better horses out there. So John, how in the hell are you ever going to win? And I like to win. Actually, that ring that we just saw is one of the few places actually won a Grand Prix, but has special memories. And what he was getting at was that you have to, you can only deal with what you can control. And what you can control is how hard you work. You talked about sweat equity. What are you doing every day to make you and your horse or horses or your team better? And that was his drive. We didn't go about it the same way, English, German, do the math. But his concept was very clear to me. And it was very much a light bulb moment for me of saying, okay, well, instead of coming into the barn at 8 o'clock and maybe dragging my feet for half an hour and then getting on, I was on a horse at 8 o'clock and spending that extra time and doing that other stuff. I'm a huge believer in spending time at the warm-up ring. I learned that at a very, very young age. I was on ponies, but we were asked this morning, actually, sorry Bob, I do this a lot. We were asked this morning to give a memory of something when you started out with horses. Before we actually had a horse trailer, my mom used to drive the car with a lead rope through the window attached to my pony as we rode down the roads to the horse show. We had to go around a big roundabout across the M1. We lived on one side of the M1, and the horse show was on the other side. Didn't think twice about it, but you just did it. And so, where was I going with that?
So that's a great answer, because your 2 minutes is up.
Excellent. Thank you. Next.
So fantastic. We'll get a chance to hear more from John throughout our time together. But you did speak about going above and beyond. So what does your going above and beyond look and feel like? And the other thing that you said, which is really important, is not only do you need to know what you can control, knowing what you're not going to do. You know, half the battle in leadership is figuring out, what am I not going to figure out? And if you can kind of hold on to that, it really helps discern what's my competitive advantage going to be. So thanks for all that clarity. So now we want to hear from you, and I'm curious about, you know, what did some of these comments prompt for you? And I want you to check back to what was the intention I had set for how I was going to engage in this conversation. And maybe we'll allow for some questions or some comments and give some chance for a response, and then we're going to move to question number 2. So I'm going to engage to see who has a comment or a question for one of our panel members. Yeah, over here.
Sorry, it's me again.
Hello, you again.
Interestingly, I had just written down prior to John speaking 2 things that I didn't hear anyone mention. They skirted around them.